We just lost him. He's
No,
back.
there he is.
Here we go. All right,
I'm
BJ
back.
Balls, our comedy podcast with special guest today, Mr. Tim
Kershaw.
Kershaw. There we go.
Kershaw.
Sorry.
What a
I'm
special
shit.
guy.
And you always give me shit because I can't say your last name, Benny.
Oh, fucking. I can use the excuse. I'm illiterate. Anyway, let's just move on. How is the beach going, you bastard?
So, yes, Kershaw. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
What a great name. I've been emceeing for 3 years now, and I forget everybody's name every single time. I'm fucking terrible.
Yeah, it'll happen.
So,
How's the beach?
am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Go nuts. After telling us
Yeah, the
about
beach is good, man. Western Australia is on fire. We're doing fantastic. It's buzzing over here.
All right, we're done here. See you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try not to talk about it too much.
Oh.
No, tell us, man. What have you been up to? Because you've been very active on the socials lately. You've been smashing the gigs.
Yeah, we're on tour. We're on tour around Western Australia. I'm emceeing for a guy called Jimmy Curatz, who's this American redneck dude.
Yeah.
And we're doing 2 and 3 gigs a week for the past 2 months.
Nice.
Nice.
Pulling the crowds?
Sometimes, yeah. Like the business of comedy is like a whole nother thing, hey? Like it's one thing to care that you want to do comedy, and it's another thing once you get into it to start drawing crowds. And like you said, doing social media and stuff, man, I actually personally hate it, the social media and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, it's got to be done though. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure a way out that you don't sort of burn yourself out, but also grab crowds and let everyone know. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't put that little documentary up the other day. So yeah, it's a necessary evil, but the business of comedy is like a whole nother thing. I can understand why people pay large sums of money for someone else to take care of it.
It's a lot of work.
Need to make money first. We're not there yet.
Yeah, well, we've got this business model. Like we were sitting in the open mics, and we're like, look, we could bust our ass here for the next 2 years, and then maybe hopefully start getting some gigs at the Comedy Lounge in Perth, which is like one of the only places that does it professionally here. Or we can try to start booking our own gigs and see what the numbers are like. So if we might break even on 10 people at a show. And then from there, if we get 20, then maybe we get a little bit of change, and then 30, and then so on. We had on Tuesday night, we had 70 people in Mandurah. So it can work out.
That's awesome. So tell us about this documentary you've whipped up.
Yeah, you saw it. It's been sitting there for like 6 months. I did it. We also had a lockdown. So, in January and February, what was it? March and April, we had a lockdown. So I put together just like some of my old clips and a little bit of an interview, and then just sort of like cobbled it together. And it's been sitting there for 6 months. And I finally thought I should just get this thing out there so I can start doing some more stuff. And I didn't think anything of it, dude. I just thought it was for my friends and family, and a lot of my friends in Melbourne are asking like what I'm doing and what I'm up to, and that was it. And it's kind of got out a little bit. I've had people really interested, and they thought it was honest or something, but I just was talking some shit.
Oh, it's good. So where can people where can people find it if they want to hear a bit more about you?
They're going to have to come to a show. You're going to have to fly over here and see it.
I don't think we can actually do that now.
Well, Jared Goundry's in the States, so anyone can do it, I think.
Is he in America right now?
No, he's in Perth.
No.
He's in
Jared
Perth.
Goundry's in. Joe White's over here. There's a few of them have snuck in, so
Yeah,
you know you
awesome.
can find a way, man.
No, they didn't sneak in.
But
They had family that was sick and all that sort of shit.
Oh.
And you know, you gotta feel for them. Not doing any shows
Definitely.
and all that sort of shit. Absolutely, I feel so bad for those guys. You know.
I actually don't
Which
know
is
why
crazy
they're
as
over
well,
there, so I'm
'cause, like,
scared to
I saw-
laugh a bit.
well, everyone's doing comedy. That's
Yeah.
one thing.
Oh,
But I was supposed to be in Melbourne.
Bastard.
I saw you guys January and February. I was over there just to sort of see what the scene was like, because I thought that, you know, Perth was done and there's no way to kind of make it here. And I came home
you
to
were
pack my-
I think you were the last show. Wasn't he the last at the Dog?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. No,
You're on one of the last shows at Ethel Glory.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Is that going to come back? You think
Yeah.
you're still holding? Yes.
Yeah, of course. Got a really good relationship with the owner. Just waiting for a date. You can you can sit.
Yeah, that was a really cool room. I
Oh,
was really, really vibing.
I love it. I'm glad you enjoy it. They're open. They're open for takeaway and stuff, and they've got DJs in for the outside parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be back shortly, hopefully.
Yeah. And what have you guys been doing, like, comedy wise? Have you been able to do some writing or something else, or you've just kind of like shut it all down?
No, I've been writing. Me and Benny have been doing the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to organise a barbecue gig for when it's legal. Try to dust the cobwebs off with some comics that we've had on the podcast, and yeah.
Yeah, I remember when it was like, it was all shut down here. I just had to stop doing comedy or thinking about comedy for like 2 months. That's how I handled it. I couldn't like write material and come up with new stuff and all of these things. It just, because I had nowhere to sort of present it. So my approach was just to completely not do it.
Well, if it works for you, but at least you guys are doing gigs now. That's awesome.
Yeah, doing gigs. And I mean, it's pretty crazy considering everything else, that we're doing a tour and then we get to finish at the Regal Theatre in December. So that's like 700 people if restrictions stay the way they are.
Shit.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Because there's no one else here. So
Yeah.
like, the Regal Theatre's like, you know, Jimmy's an international act. So they're like, please come here and do it. Whereas it would usually be fully booked. Even Fringe, if we have Fringe here in January, there's no interstate, no international. So like all of the local people everyone's booking their own shows, and it's like kind of thriving, which is ridiculous because it's Perth.
That's good though. It's about time you guys had something going on in your city.
Man, there might be some killers that come out of Perth in the next 2 years, you know, like just with all this time. Just absolute crushes.
Yeah. Oh, just wait and see. Crushing can come from anywhere, I think, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, you talk about comedy and get into the depths of it, hey?
Yep.
So it's been funny with this tour because if you caught me 2 weeks ago, I was super stoked about the whole thing. But this week I've been completely frustrated about it because, you know, we're going regionally where people want to listen to comedy, but also they're older audiences that have money. They're the people that pay for comedy. So I'm trying to talk about conspiracy theories and issues that I think are interesting. And everyone wants just to hear about dick jokes and, you know. So I'm like, you know, some of these shows I'm kind of bombing a little bit because we had 70 people at the show on Tuesday. They wanted nothing to do with me talking about how people should stop watering their lawns because of global warming.
Oh, look, I think that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I'd take
You're
that
frothing.
over no show.
You're frothing for a show. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
keen, man. That's your answer to everything. Is like, oh, just do it and take it.
Yeah, I'd take a. Well, yeah, that's how you make rent sometimes, isn't it? So you just got to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's been really cool because the experiences you don't get in open mics and stuff is where you have to start changing gears. So you might get up there and, you know, whatever opener you want to start with isn't landing or it's not going the way that you want to. You now have to change gears and try to figure out a way to jump it 2 or 3 steps to some other material you have to get them on board.
As on a business
You can't
side
just
of
go
things,
up there and be like,
but on the business side of things, are you looking at your demographic? I mean, in the sense of where you're hitting. I mean, obviously, each regional place you go to, you've got to sort of have a bit of an understanding of the place or the town or whatever it is. I mean, if you go up where the you know the miners are, you're not going to be fucking talking about global warming. I mean, that's the last thing you're fucking going to be talking about. You'd be sort of going, let's talk about dick and pussy and get them going. You know, it's like there's a whole different shift that you have to do when you start hitting that type of, you know, I think anyway, I don't know. I mean, are you finding that or?
Definitely. You can't just, you can't be an asshole and just go up there. And that's what I mean. Like at open mics, you might be like, this is what I'm going to present.
Yeah.
And like it or not. But yeah, and you don't even know sometimes, like with an older audience, you might go up there and start talking about the moon landing and they'll get right into it.
Yeah.
And then the next show, we're talking about like, you know, 2 hours away in another regional town. They don't want a bar of it. And that's why when you're on stage, you need to change that gear and you need to start finding out what they're interested in and cater towards it for sure.
Are there any open mics going at the moment over there, or is it all book stuff?
There's a few open mics that are starting. And then now that everyone's a little bit more confident, there's 3 open mics at the moment. 2 on a Wednesday, 1 on a Friday. And then people are starting to open them up now.
Oh, that's good.
Starting to, I think I might try and open a room. A few of the other guys might open rooms. And yeah, it's also like something that's important, you know, like we all need to give back and support the community that we come from. You know, it's not easy to open a room. Hey, it's not easy to do it every week and be consistent, but I think you need to do it to give back to the rest of the people that want to do comedy.
Yeah. I think there's also a bit of a give and take with that as well. Like if you're going to run a room that's an open mic, you don't know what to expect. But if you're running a room that is curated, you got to be a bit ruthless, I think, because these people are coming in and it's like, look, I've booked these people hoping you're going to have a good night. And if those people don't really take it seriously as you are, then very hard to get return customers. Very, very hard to get return customers. Yeah, dude,
and that's why I respect dudes that just run legit open mics. We have one here that like might get 2 or 3 patrons a week or 4, like it's the dirty one, and he'll put 15 comedians on it and give us all the time that we need, and that's really important for you to build material.
Yeah.
But he's not making any money and he's doing it for the love of it, so I totally respect that.
No, me too. That's good. But it's just, you need to, I don't know what the word is. It's just hard to especially if you're in a room that doesn't charge entry. There's kind of I don't know if punters know what they're going to get, sort of thing. So they're not really inclined to stay.
You're trying to say.
Yeah, the expectation. Like if you promote it as an open mic, it's like, look, anything could happen. You might see the next big thing, or you might see an absolute dog shit of a show. Like it could be people on radio trying shit out or whatever, or it could just be people who've been doing it the first time. It's a luck of the draw sort of thing. But if you're running a curated room that doesn't charge entry, it kind of looks like open mic as well.
Yeah, and it's like nothing more infuriating, you know, like you've done it yourself where you book a room and you might get 30 people there and you've spent 2 weeks like getting those 30 people there, and some guy comes up and says, oh, this is my art form and you're going to get what I'm going to give you, and just completely trashes the vibe of the room.
Well, they get up
and that infuriates you, you know, like because you've done... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like, how about this one? How about,
Yeah.
you know, and that kind of stuff. And then that's the next step in comedy, when you start understanding the business or the relationship of it. It's not, you know, balancing your art form against giving people what they deserve for paying money.
Yeah, because if the punters don't come back to that room, you probably won't have a gig there in a few weeks. Like, there might not be a room to come back to. So you got to look after, like, the crowd comes first, I think, no matter what.
Yep. And there's no point going up there and being like, I'm not really into people complaining about audiences either. Like, they can be flat for sure, and there's a vibe to each audience, but you've got to figure out that way. You've got to change that gear to figure out what they need or what they want and give it to them.
I think that's the MC's job. Like, I'm an MC myself, as are you, and that's a very important job that an MC has to do, is to try and get that energy out of the crowd. So the first person who walks on doesn't have to spend the first 5 minutes of their 7 trying to push it uphill to try and set the scene, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that too as well, because I mean, I'm getting a lot of gigs as MC now, which is great, but you're actually almost sacrificing yourself for the rest of the lineup. You know, you can't just go out there and just start throwing down your 10 minutes and then go, well, and crush it, and then go, here's your first comedian, because you've just set up everyone else to fail. You need to be underneath, just talking to the audience, getting a few lines out of them, getting a few things rolling, get them comfortable. You know, like, the way that I think about it is like, as long as I'm happy and I'm showing the audience that I've got this tonight and we're going to be comfortable, and whatever happens, I'll keep it on the tracks, is what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the fact I'm the most hilarious person here and you should all listen to me.
Yeah, but that's an awesome way of thinking about it. I mean, the way you've just said that, it's like Geordie said, that's the MCG's job to do that. If, like you say, if you crush it, you fucked everybody completely. And then it's like, you've got to work with, the crowd, the people, the fucking, and bring the first person up to that level of let's you don't have to do the clap, but you can sort of, in your head, you can do the clap. You know what I mean? Get him up there and sort of bring him on ready to go, sort of thing. And there's been rooms, I mean, I reckon we've all done rooms where the MC's trying to outdo the acts, and you're sitting there going, what the fuck, mate? You're trying to compete with that person.
Yeah.
There are rooms like that. I mean, I've seen rooms that are, they're trying to hit, and it's like, that's not your job. Your job is to fucking get everybody going. But I don't know. What do I know? I just run a podcast.
And set the guys up. Really. No, you want to set them up. Like, the joy you need to get out of emceeing is not from your material. It's if a comedian goes up there and starts crushing, you're a part of that.
Yeah.
Because you've set it up. And I love the other aspect of it, because this Jimmy Curat's, he plays a redneck character, and he's saying a lot of misogynistic material, some racist stuff, some really edgy things that we couldn't do in Perth, and funny. So, like, he's not just being an arsehole, but I need to set the scene for it to kind of, like, for people to understand that this is about jokes and about being a little bit loose. So I actually started going up there and doing this thing straight off the bat called Fact or Racist. And it was a little game that I created for me and the audience. And it's like, and they have to determine whether this sentence that I say is indeed a fact or if it's racist. And, I'm sure it's been done before or whatever. But then they just sort of like lock in and they go, okay, we've gone through a couple of really edgy, weird things, and it was on us to determine whether it was funny or not. And then we go into Jimmy and they sort of lean back and accept some of the shit he says.
How did you get Jimmy to sort of jump on with you, as in jump on board?
Do I get him on?
No, how did you get him to sort of jump on board to do this tour with you, as in to get him on? You just, cool, let's do this.
We were just both sitting in the open mic. I've known him Yeah, I've known him for a while, and we both have that. We both wanted to do a little bit more. He's been doing it 5 years. I'm nearly at 4 years, and we're both like pretty diligent workers. So we just got together and said, let's try and do something. And we booked any room that we could regionally, and that's why we're dealing with different crowds. But it's been really good training at the same time.
That's awesome. So this Regent Theatre one's going to be pretty big then?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
How many on the lineup?
That's when you have to start thinking business. So we've been touring with 1 or 2 different guys that we bring along. Do you guys know Waka, the Japanese dude?
No.
He's been in Sydney the last couple of years, but he's a professional, and he's stuck here as well. So we've been bringing Waka along, and every now and then we bring an open micer up that's doing really well. And then hopefully by the time we get to Regal, just the 3 best dudes are going to come along and do 5 minutes and 7 minutes.
That's awesome. You should film it. That'd be really interesting to see.
We're going to film the doco.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah. We're going to it's kind of all just been balls out, as you would say, fellas.
Yeah.
We just you have to throw down some money to book the Regal. You got to throw down some money for a publicist. You got to throw down some money for posters going around town, and you got to throw down money for a documentary, and then hopefully recoup that.
Yeah.
So that really changes the game.
Yeah, shit. No, that'd be good.
So how long is the show at the Regal? So how long is it for? How long does it go for? Oh,
I think it's 90 minutes with an intermission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So,
and
awesome. You can do whatever. Yeah. And Jimmy does an hour. He's got an hour set that he's working towards. And then we all just fill the rest of the time. And I think because we've done a couple of regional theatres, but they've been 50 seats and 80 seats. The vibe's completely different, where there is no shit talking to the audience. There's no sort of banter or anything. You just get up. It's like a performance.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's how it goes. So it'll be less emceeing and more just getting up there and doing the material that I've put together over the tour, and set the scene, bring up 3 guys, have a break, and then the headliner is going to do 50 minutes.
That's going to be awesome. So how did you get started with comedy, and when?
4 years ago, pretty much. So I've done my 3, this is how I determine it. I've done my 3 raw competition sets. That's how, so I'm in my 4th year, and it was a little bit was on the documentary, but basically my life was a little bit shitty. So I decided to finally do something that I've been thinking about for a long time.
And whereabouts did you get started?
Yeah. I started here. Started in Perth. I'm from Melbourne, but I moved over here 5 years ago. And depends how deep you want to get into it, fellas. But my wife left and my kid left, and it was a tough situation. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to go do some comedy. So I started writing for 3 months. And then I was going to the open mics every week to have a look at how it happens. And I fucking wrote my sign up, and I went to the local one in Fremantle. And after 3 months of writing, I got up there and I lasted about 3 minutes. So,
yeah.
And then I just walked off.
And did that kind of put
and I sucked terribly.
Yeah. I think everyone does the first time. How'd you bounce back from that initial shock?
Well, I'm also a chef. So Benny, you might understand some of this stuff, bro, but like we are a determined bunch of people. So it was one of those things that I was just doing just for a little bit of fun and something different and something to get through a bad situation but then slowly I realized like the thing that I liked about it was the psychology. I couldn't believe that I could get up there and if I kind of tuned these people right, then they would sort of just flip over and let me take over their minds. And that was something that kind of got me started.
But how did you learn all that? I mean, did you sort of read books? Did you, I mean, the little things that you got to know about comedy to sort of get yourself going, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the way you write a joke, the way you sort of present a joke, all that sort of stuff. Did you just sort of go off the cuff and just write and just say it the way you wrote it, or you tweaked it, or how did that come about?
Well, as a chef, we are always talking shit in kitchens. So I had some material and some sort of like party jokes and I can talk shit like the best of them after 15 years of fucking chefing. And I put some of that together and I definitely I was always a fan of comedy. I was like a deep fan, a hardcore fan of like, you know, Doug Stanhope and Bill Hicks and some of these guys, George Carlin. So I kind of had a background to it, but I just never thought that I would be a person that would do comedy. I didn't think it was something that you could do.
It's kind of weird
So
when you think
when
of
I
it like that.
eventually did it, hey?
I remember having a similar kind of thought. It's kind of weird. It's like, well, how do you do it? Where do you do comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Bill Hicks changed my life as a young man. He introduced me to Terence McKenna. He introduced me to like some of these ideas that really changed my life. But I never thought, oh, I should do what that guy does. I just thought that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And then like also one of my friends, he went and did stand-up comedy and he used my jokes. He used my party jokes, which were just like some, you know, koala chlamydia jokes and some terrible, terrible things that everyone does. And that's what planted the seed. And then once I got into it, I'm one of those people that just sort of like just jumps right in. So yeah, read all the books, watched all the videos on YouTube, just started listening to all the guys, and then started trying to figure out how I wanted to go about doing it, because it was more about this is an art form for me as something that I wanted to do for myself rather than something where I wanted to get famous or wanted to make money from.
Yeah. So you're enjoying it so far?
Yeah, well, like I said, this week I've been pissed off about it. Because I don't want to do the social media, dude, and the business of it has been completely frustrating.
Yeah.
For a little bit this week, but overall, I love it. Overall, I'm for the art form, and I think it's a special thing.
No, that's good. Well, I think you're a very solid act. That's more than happy to have you down. So if anyone's listening, definitely check him out. I think we've got some listeners over in WA. Do we? I don't know, but check out the shows at the all around the place and the tours and stuff. And when you're back in Melbourne, we'll make sure everyone knows about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And if you come over here, let me know. I'll set you up.
Yeah, well, we'd love to take this shit on the road. That'd be fun as. But
Cool.
we have this one question we have to ask everyone. What would be your worst gig or bomb that you can remember? And how'd you bounce back from it? What happened? Talk us through it. It's a campfire. We've got a horror story coming out. What happened?
Oh man, well, there's been a few for sure. Because I have this knack of taking on every terrible gig there ever was. So, but there's one that gets around here that's quite famous. That the first time I ever emceed, I went to a place called Balladura, which is like you know, one of the worst parts of Perth. And it turns out that the gig was in a TAB section of the pub.
Oh, fuck.
And and yes, and no one even knew that the comedy was on. So there's guys who are staring at the screens trying to check their tickets, and you can understand what kind of crowd they are. You know, and then there's a guy who just gets on stage behind them and starts trying to talk to them, which was me. And they're just trying to check their tickets. I understand now, but at the time I was like, what the fuck? These people are not interested. And then they just turned on me. And I was an inexperienced MC. So I've got like all these guys with their tickets in their hands, kind of like yelling at me and telling me to shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be completely aggressive back. So it turns out that I just started yelling into the microphone, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And then they started yelling that back at me. And that was the start of the show. And then I had another 2 hours to go.
Why aren't you people respecting my art?
It's so dumb. But it was actually, it was one of the moments that made me realize that this is something that I should do, because every time I got off stage, I was like, I'll get them with the next one. I'll come out, I'll put these two jokes together, I'll get them. And seriously, even 2 hours later, the headliner was just looking at me like, bro, what the fuck? And he went on crushed. He did a really good job. And when he came off stage, I was like, oh, I'll just do one more joke. Like, I reckon I can get him. Just one more. And I went to do that joke. And one of the guys in the audience stood up and he's like, let me tell a joke. And I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going out like this with you telling a joke. And I just started telling everyone, shut it down, turn the lights off,
Jesus.
shut the fucking microphone off, shut everything down. And then the crowd just started turning on me again. And they were like, give him a shot, let him do it, give him a shot. And I look at the guy running the room, and he just started nodding his head like, yes, give this guy a shot. And I was like, that is it. And I fucking threw the microphone down and just walked out.
That might be up there for one of the worst stories we've heard.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got a few. Me and Waka talk about it being a comedy samurai. You've got to see every situation.
That's brilliant. That is probably the worst story we've had, I think.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to send you over one of these.
Yeah, bro, it was balls out, you know. It was balls out. And I've never been back to Balladura since. So.
That makes it even better. Yeah. Oh, that is brilliant. That is so good.
Well, you should tee it up. You should actually go back to the TV and just fucking walk in there. I'm back, people. Fucking let's get this going.
They would crush me again, and I'll be like, what was the last 4 years for?
You should go on Centrelink Day so they're kind of happy. Like they're happy, they're really ready to like splash out on the tickets, and then you just rock up and be like, hey, fuckers, remember me?
How do you bounce back from that? I mean, do you just like, fuck it? Yeah, it's just in the bag. Let's keep going. Next gig.
No, I'm pretty sure that one really hurt.
Yeah.
I can't really remember. But I mean, all I really remember is that my brain was like, I'll get them with the next one. I'll get them. I'm sure I can get them. And that's when I kind of knew, besides it just being something I wanted to do, it was like, I have the mentality for it. You know, like you need that kind of warrior spirit, I think, to get through some of that stuff. Don't you think?
I agree, but that sounds fucking horrible.
Man, I've almost been kicked out of my own scene like a couple of times, you know, like I was trying lots of different things when I first started that I didn't realize people didn't care about or like. And we have like a very straight scene here as well. So the people in the scene hated the shit that I was doing, and I had to go find my own way. So I actually was doing music open mics for like the first 6 months of my comedy career between acts. So there'll be like a 20-minute music act, and then me doing 10 minutes, and I have no idea about what I'm doing, and then another 20-minute music act.
Fuck.
That's how it started.
So what sort of overall crowd is Perth? I mean, what sort of dynamic is it? You know what I mean? So that you would say. I mean,
yeah, like definitely on the tour, it's the people that want to pay for a $25 ticket, because that's what we're charging on the tour for three and four comedians. 40 and 50-year-old couples that want to drink and have a good time, and that's just what it is. So we've had to curate towards that. There's not really many young people who care about the art form of comedy and want to listen to Doug Stanhope. There's not much of that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, that's why I came to Melbourne, man. I was enjoying it. I love your room, and I love the Gorilla basement room. You know, like people kind of get into it, whatever you're trying to say. I liked it.
Gorilla's awesome. It's a favorite among many comics that we get on here.
Yeah, and do you know what else I also liked about it? If we're going to talk like serious comedy, is because I was the guy coming from Perth. I had no comedy politics whatsoever. It was just like, oh, that guy's from Perth, whatever.
Yeah, it's good.
I just rock up, say hello, be friends with everyone, leave, no problems. It was delightful.
In and out. Yeah, very good.
and how's the open mic scene in Perth? Is it very open arms? Is it more, you know, what sort of?
No. It actually even split off into two camps when I first started. And there was the people that were established that didn't want anything to do with the new people that were coming in.
Oh, wow.
So the new people who came in started opening their own rooms, and it created a bigger divide between everybody. And there's been a lot of comedy politics in Perth between different factions. I guess that's everywhere, but it's kind of just started to come back together, where the open mic scene, it's only 3 rooms. Everybody goes there, so everybody gets along, and they're really supportive. There's a bunch of great people. But there's definitely a lot of people around who want to book their own shows and don't want to put any new comedians on it, don't want to support anybody, and just do their own thing. And look, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You know, because it's an interesting thing. You know, when you first get into it, like you think that comedy is like whoever is the funniest wins. Like there's no socialness to it. Like, but it turns out that like there's, you know, you're friends with some people, you're not friends with other people. Some people get along with some people, they don't get along with other people. And that's just like any workplace or scenario. And, you know, if your expectation is that everyone should like me because I do comedy, which was mine, if I'm to be honest, that's wrong. You know, yeah, it's like any other kind of workplace.
Like here, I hate Geordie. Geordie hates me. Just it's balance. So yin and the yang.
That's why we do Zoom from now on.
I thought. Do you know what I thought? I thought we're all degenerates. That's what I thought. I thought we're all, because in the chefing industry, we're all degenerates or alcoholics or drug takers, and we all bonded because of that. And I thought comedy was the same. But there's lots of different people in comedy all doing lots of different things, and you just got to get along at your own pace and do it your own way. It's really what you got to do.
It's a good mixed bag of people, and it makes it a lot more interesting, I think. So you don't want to go up there and everyone's talking about the same thing.
Yeah. And like, look, there's some people who do it because they love the art form or they want to talk. There's some people who do it because they want to make a job out of it. There's some people that do it because they want to be famous. and it's the entertainment industry, which I had to take a big learning curve on.
It's nuts. It's hard to get into and maintain, I think, but some people can do it, some people can't, I guess. But it's a bit like music, really. Like, did you ever play in bands as well, like before you jumped into comedy, or you just play
I've
by
played
yourself?
played the guitar for a long time, and like only bands in high school, nothing crazy. I went into film school for university, and then from there to chefing.
Yeah, not much time for a band when you're a chef.
No, not much time for anything, bro.
No.
But I would implore every chef to try stand up. Every chef should try stand up comedy. Absolutely. They're like they're in the same bucket. Crazy people, weird mentalities. You know, there's some nut jobs in chefing that would be great comedians.
Yeah. There's some nut jobs in the auto trade as well who make great comics as well, I think. You got to have something wrong with you to work for a trade, I think.
Yeah, because you can't. Well, have you ever tried an office job?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Dead silence. Birds tweeting.
Yeah, you look at anyone. You might be a comedian if you look at anyone in a suit and go, "Why the fuck would you do that?"
Yeah, but that's what you were saying before. It's also finding that fine line with the social part of it as well, because we're so fucked up and we're so in our own little fucking world that you've got to learn all these. You know, you can't take the piss out of a certain person, or you know, like in chefing, we take the piss out of everything. You know that. I mean,
Yeah.
from the fucking dishy to the fucking service person to the bloody customer, you take the piss out of everybody. You know what I mean? Whereas this, you've got to be, you know, you've got to be gentle. You know, there's a real fucking fine line between, you know, thinking you're funny and going aggressive. If you know what I mean? There's that tipping point of that. You know, and yeah, it's taken me a while to work that out. You know, it's like I'm still working that out.
Office workers have HR managers.
Yes.
I don't remember the last time I saw an HR person for a restaurant or a mechanics joint.
Yeah, your knife.
It took me ages to figure it out, because the thing about chefing was, like, we would give people shit and they would either take it and be a good chef or they would leave.
Yeah.
And that was almost like the hiring process. So all the people that I knew, and coming from the country, coming from Traralgon, all the people I knew were people that took shit, and that's how we bonded. And then I got into the arts, and people didn't do it like that, and it just completely blew me away. I was like, oh, fuck, all right, well, I'm going to have to change everything about myself.
Oh, good. So I just don't know what office people do.
But it's not just office people. I think it's also where you come from.
No. Like literally, I don't know what they do. Like chefing or mechanics. Like it's like, okay, here's this car. It's making a funny noise. Fix it. It's like, okay, well that noise isn't right. Or here's your fresh chicken breast. We need these turned into parmesanas or whatever. Okay, I get that. But what the fuck do office people actually do? It's like, here's some papers, sort them.
I'll tell you, earn a shit lot more money than we did back then.
Yes, but this is why you know that you're not one of them, because you would rather earn zero money than go and do that shit.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there is that point.
I worked in an office, like I was working on a farm, a sustainable farm, for a little while, but half the job was an office job. So I was in an office 3 days a week. I lasted 6 months, max. I was at it because everyone's trying not to do work. You know, they're like, oh, can you send me an email? And I'm like, well, no, actually we're standing right next to each other. Can't we just do it right now?
Fuck that. Fuck that. Well, where do people find you on the socials? Do you have a designated page, or is it just because I've only got you on Facebook as a friend? Do you have a comedy page where people can find you? And...
Yeah, I have Tim Kershaw Comedy, I guess, is on Instagram and it's on Facebook. I think I'm going to prefer to do a YouTube channel. I think that's what's going to be good for me. So I've got a podcast that I'm doing at the moment that's going to get released soon. I'm going to continue the documentary, and I might even just record what happened during my week and then put my sets together with it in a similar style.
Yep.
What's your podcast going to be about?
And then I'll have a little YouTube. It's actually very different to comedy. Like, I've got a couple of friends over here that run a kombucha business. I mean, if you know anything about Fremantle, it's a bit of an eccentric place. And we just want to talk about our lives and how we go about being better people. You know, I want to do something that's completely away from comedy.
Yeah.
But it kind of feeds back into comedy because you need to be pretty diligent if you want to be a comedian. You've got to look at yourself pretty honestly. You need to, I read some of those books. I like meditation. I like spirituality. So it's a little bit of that, but more just like how our week went and how we could be better people. And it's been a really fun experience so far.
Oh, it's cool. Well, if anyone's listening, check Tim out on the socials and try and get to a gig while you can. Fuck knows what's going to happen in the next week in this climate at the moment. But as soon as Melbourne's back open again, we'd love to have you at Death or Glory and see your stuff again, man.
I'll even try to get up to Perth, check you out.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Please, if you're coming here, let me know. I'll set you up. We'll have a good time. And then, if I'm coming over, definitely. Death or Glory is a ripping spot. I love it.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it. And we'll go do Gorilla together. Fucking love that. Benny doesn't like it, but I love it.
I love
Still working it
Anything
out.
underground.
They're too close to me. I'm fucking going to start swinging.
You need some space.
I need some
stage.
space.
Benny's been living by this 2 meter rule his whole fucking life, and Gorilla fucks it for him.
Yeah.
It's funny how that's back. You know, they invented that in primary school, if you remember that.
The old propeller. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
No, that was to get creepy teachers away from you, wasn't it?
I didn't go to an all-boys school, but anyway, keep going, Jordy.
Sorry. I lost you for a second there.
Yeah, our connection's getting real bad. We might wrap it up there, man. But everyone, check Tim out. Thank you very much for coming on, Tim.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been good fun.
No worries, dude. We'll catch up with you soon.
Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.